Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share it with a friend. Thank you very much. And I am here today to talk about newly acquired goaltender Jacob Markstrom's appearance on one of my favorite hockey podcasts, Spittin Chiclets. And the episode came out yesterday, and I must say, I like Jacob Markstrom a lot. I like Jacob Markstrom a lot. He was the player I wanted from last season. I didn't know too much about him personally or his demeanor. I just kind of knew him from his on-ice performance over the years. I always thought he was a pretty good goalie that, in the right situation could thrive. So he goes on Chiclets looking all cool with his off-white shirt and his sleeves of tattoos, and he starts reminiscing with the boys. He actually played with Ryan Whitney in San Antonio years ago, so they have a lot of common stories and shared experiences from over the years. They're talking about betting on cards and on the golf course, yada, yada. They start off talking about Markstrom's frustration with all the rumors to the Devils last year that obviously never happened. He said he was hearing different things from different people. He was kind of committed to the Devils in his head. It didn't happen. And it seems like it left a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth, but he did say very nice things about Calgary and said he's on good terms with them and he respects them. All the right things you're supposed to say as a professional. But it definitely bothered him a little bit, the way it all went down, and that he was there for the rest of the year and it finally came to fruition in the summer. Markstrom actually played for the Utica Comets back when they were the Vancouver Canucks AHL affiliate, and he actually played in the Calder Cup Finals against Paul Bissonnette, a.k.a. Biz Nasty's Manchester Monarchs, in the Calder Cup Final, and Manchester won, and Biz got his Calder Cup victory. But it is interesting that Markstrom played for the Utica Comets, but when they were Vancouver's affiliate. Markstrom talked about his roots coming up in hockey a lot in Sweden. You got a lot of backstories there. He also talked about how when he got to Vancouver, that's kind of when he felt he started to develop and blossom as a professional. He said that he basically stuck around the Sedin twins, Daniel and Henrik, and they kind of showed him how to be a pro, get to the rink early, take your off-ice workouts in the weight room serious, et cetera, et cetera. And I've talked about this in the past, and it really kind of hit home for me when I did the interview with Scott Gomez. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out on the channel. But Gomer always referred to the vets that kind of groomed him and raised him in the league. And I think that might be kind of a lost element today, that a lot of these teams are very young, including the Devils, and there is no true kind of, war-tested veteran who's been in the league for a while to show these kids how to operate. I could be wrong here, but I don't think I am. And I think that's kind of a lost art in the league. And it seems like from everything he was saying, Jacob Markstrom is an absolute gem, and he definitely has the demeanor and, talks like one of the old school guys, which I like. Again, not to just say everything old school is better. I mean, for the most part it is. But I do think some of that accountability and not wanting to let veterans down and not wanting to act out of line in front of veterans and doing the right thing matters. And I think if you have someone or a group of guys like that in the room, the young kids will step up and kind of shape up, because you don't want to be the young punk kid running around not doing what you're supposed to do. So I thought that was interesting that he listed the Sedin twins kind of as his mentors. Markstrom was traded from Florida to Vancouver in the Roberto Luongo deal. Another one of the French-Canadian greats, Roberto Luongo. Always enjoyed watching him play over the years. Markstrom mentioned how he spent some time with Henrik Lundqvist this summer, another obviously high-caliber Swedish goalie, and so they have that kind of shared bond. Markstrom mentioned at 15 years old he didn't know if he was going to play hockey or soccer, and he talked about how his father and brother both played soccer, and for whatever reason he decided to pursue hockey. And when asked if he played out before playing in net, he said he did like most other guys. He played forward or something. But he said at a young age he had size 12 feet. He saw a picture of himself playing, and he was very self-conscious about it. And so in an effort to hide his feet, he was like, I better get in the net and hide them under goalie pads. And that's how he became a goaltender. Very interesting. A lot of the goalies have, interesting stories of how they kind of converted from a position player to in the goal. But Markstrom just wanted to hide those size 12 feet at a young age. Then he tells a hilarious story that I actually have a very similar experience to. and he was on a road trip. They were playing at home one night, and then they had to like bus to Oklahoma or somewhere. So it was on one of the sleeper buses where there's like beds and you drive throughout the night. He apparently slept through everyone getting off the bus, and he tells a story about how he wakes up like in a bus depot surrounded by hundreds of buses and had to like get out of the bus and climb a gate. It's a really funny story. And then he barely made it to the game. Markstrom talks about how Travis Green was very influential in his career because Travis was his head coach in Utica when he first got traded to Vancouver. I thought that was a pretty coincidental kind of funny thing that former interim head coach Travis Green was his head coach in the minors. They talked a little bit about international play, and Markstrom talks about how it was an honor to represent Sweden at different world tournaments that he's played in over the years. And they talked about the upcoming Four Nations face-off and the Olympics, and obviously Markstrom expressed that he would love to play in those, representing your country at the highest level in these best-on-best tournaments is something all these guys look forward to. And that's one of the reasons why I'm super pumped that the NHL players are back in the Olympics in 2026 in Milan, Italy. I'm hoping to be there live for that. I've talked about that, on this channel before. That is pretty much a must-attend for me. It crosses off two of my bucket list items in one shot. Italy has always been a bucket list for me, and Olympic hockey has. They're merging together, and I think your boy Ace is going to definitely be out there for that. They randomly asked him if he's ever been in a fight, and he said he's been in one against Menino. It's pretty funny. Markstrom said that Menino was like, take it easy on me, man. I have a kid, which I think is a hilarious thing to say when you're about to get in a fight, especially if you're a goalie. But I'm sure none of you have seen that. So link in the description, Markstrom-Menino fight. Markstrom's only career goalie fight. Witt spaced out for a minute during the interview and asked him if Lindy Ruff had called him yet. And then he was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, my God, Lindy Ruff's not your coach. Biz chimes in and makes the joke that, maybe if Lindy had you last year, you could have saved his job, which I think is the unfortunate reality. Listen, I've talked about this in depth as well. I think, Lindy pushed this group as far as he could. He did a great job with Nico and Jack earlier in their careers. He brought us to the next level. We obviously had a franchise record-setting season under him and beat the Rangers in a beautiful 7-game series. That one's for you, Rusty. And I think we kind of maxed out under him, unfortunately. I do think he got a raw deal. I've said that. But sometimes when the house is on fire, someone's got to go. And I think it's unfortunate for Lindy. But I do agree with the joking statement that Biz said. I do believe if we had gotten Markstrom in January, that we would have made the playoffs. Now, I don't think we would have went far, but you never know, and you just want to get there. And I always stress that I believe getting to the playoffs and losing is way better than not making the playoffs, and teams need to go on these journeys and these battles through the playoffs together as a unit to get to the next level. And I think not making the playoffs was a step backwards. Obviously, hoping that this year we're locked and loaded and now we're going to make another run. But it is interesting that if Markstrom was here last year, would Lindy's job have been saved? And I think there's a decent chance it could have been. I really do, but it wasn't in the cards. Fitz tried. There was a bunch of nonsense. All the rumors were going on for months and months. Markstrom didn't come here till the summer, and it is what it is. Jacob Markstrom has a 1.5-year-old son named Cole Marley, and he revealed that he was named Cole after one of Sweden's most famous bank robbers. I thought that was hilarious. Markstrom looks the gangster part, but I guess he's really about that life. He named his son after a bank robber. I thought that was an interesting tidbit. And then the boys brought in New Jersey Devils fan and often correspondent on the show, Pasha. Pasha doesn't hide the fact he's openly a huge Devils fan. He's always getting into fights with Witt and Biz on the show about the Devils or something Devils related. So he came on, asked a couple questions. He asked how much Markstrom likes to communicate to his D-core, and he said, the defense and the goalie have to operate as a unit, and so they will communicate how they like to do certain things and kind of figure out, each other's little idiosyncrasies so that they could work together. He was asked about Quinn Hughes' traits, and he had nothing but good things to say about Quinn. He said Quinn is a true professional and that he hopes Luke could become as good or better than Quinn. And then he told a story about how when he saw Jack and his father at the All-Star game in St. Louis a few years back, that Jim Hughes, the father of the Hughes boys, told Marky that Luke is the best of the bunch, which I found to be interesting. Hopefully that comes to fruition. If Luke ended up being the best Hughes brother in the league, I mean, how lucky would we be? Quinn's one of Norris. It looks like he's going to be a favorite along with Cal McCarr for the foreseeable future, the next decade plus, I imagine. Quinn Hughes and McCarr will both win multiple Norrises each. And so if Luke can be better than him, that's something. That is something to look forward to. And I do think Luke is going to show some massive improvement this year. I really do think we'll see that with a more veteran, stable defensive partner. I think he's gonna progress beautifully for this Devils club. And I think in a few years he's definitely going to be one of the best defensemen in the league. I mean, or at least among the best defensemen in the league. Hoping to see him make Team USA for the Four Nations and the Olympics as well. Then Pasha asked him who has the most deceptive release on the team, and then he said Jesper Bratt. So far, he hasn't seen everybody yet, but Pasha kind of busted his chops a little bit and said that was a Swedish bias, and he was saying that because Bratt is a fellow Swede, but very complimentary towards Jack Hughes. He said he's very slippery as well. Then Pasha warned him maybe he'll bank one off his helmet in practice. They had a little funny banter going back and forth. And then at the end, Pasha said, I'm going to leave it off on one question for you, my last question. And he said, what do you plan on doing in Sweden with your day with the cup? Which I thought was amazing. And Markstrom seemed to love it. And he actually tells how he just built a new house in Sweden that's on the water, and he has a dock and a boat. And then he said, in quotes, the house is perfect for an event like that. So I like to see that. Jacob Markstrom built a new house, and he's already thinking, this place would be a great venue for a cup party. Got to keep focused. Let's win that cup and let's bring it to your boat in Sweden. Would love to see it happen. And after watching this, he reminded me of the old guard. And you guys know I have a bleeding heart for the old guard. They're just different creatures than the modern players for the most part. There's still some that have some of these kind of old school tendencies or ways about them, but Markstrom definitely is in that mold. He was brought up by the Sedin brothers in Vancouver, and I think he's going to be a vocal leader in the room. I really do. And I think we need a couple of them. Our team is very young, very inexperienced for the most part, and Markstrom's been in the league for a long time, and he's played with some absolute legends of the game and against them. So I think he's going to help this group mature in some ways as well. I think he's just going to be a treat for the Devils fans to watch throughout the year. And I think he's going to have a big season. I really do. I'm not concerned about his age. A lot of you have talked about this, and I just keep saying the same thing. We just saw Bobrovsky win a cup at 35, I believe. The great Martin Brodeur brought us to the finals in 2012 as a 40-year-old man. And so I'm not concerned. I'm looking for a big season from Markstrom. I think the change of scenery will be great for him. I think the decor that we have is shaping up beautifully. Adding Pasha and Dylan is monumental. And now, hopefully, a year more of experience for Nemitz and Luke. I have high expectations for this group. I really do. I'm going to put out a prediction video probably in the next week or two. But I think we're going to see an absolute monster year from Markstrom. But I already like the guy. I love the guy after watching the interview. That's all it takes for me. That was just, if you're one of the older fans, there's just something about him when you watch the interview that you're going to be like, let's go. Let's go. And that's kind of the feeling I had as soon as I watched it. So if you haven't watched the interview yet, I'll put the link in the description as well. Check it out. Spittin Chiclets. It came out yesterday. Amazing interview. Would love to see more of these types of things from Devils guys. We don't get them all too often, but when I saw this, I was like, what a treat. What a little mid-September treat. Let me know what you guys thought about the interview. If you saw it, let me know about anything Devils hockey. As always, throw it out there in the comments. I love talking to you all. Thank you for watching. The production from your boy Ace is going to be getting ramped up in the upcoming weeks as we slide into camp and the preseason. I am stoked. It's been entirely too long. And I'll be back soon, guys. I will be back soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.